Hey friends, it's the Capybara, and I'm coming at you today with a video about my 3 favorite strategies for Fortnite no-build rounds. Now, when you can't build apartment complexes on people as soon as shots start getting fired, then you have to think a little bit more critically about the moves you're going to make in the early game of Fortnite. And so these 3 strategies, these 3 tips should help you move forward and get a little bit closer to that Victory Royale. Now, even though these are specific for the no-build mode, they will help you no matter what mode you're playing in Fortnite, and maybe some other Battle Royale games as well. So stick around and tell me which tip you think is the most helpful. Okay, so tip number 1 is to make sure that your weapons layout is as efficient as possible. You only get 5 slots to choose from, and so it's important to make sure that you have a good, broad range of situational items. Don't be afraid to get choosy about what you end up picking up. Now, I think the most important thing to always have on you is, of course, a rifle. Rifles are medium range, and I prefer, in the current meta, the Ranger rifle the best. You could use one that has a scope, but for me, it necessarily isn't preferred. And when I mean scope, I mean like the sights, like the red dot sights. What the Ranger rifles do is when you're zooming in on people, it keeps your field of view still pretty nice and large, so it's a lot harder to get snuck up on. It's also a lot easier to see where they're headed. You can move your scope or your mouse to where they're going instead of where they are, a little bit easier. I think that the Ranger rifle right now is the best all-around gun in particular. It has a decent rate of fire, has a decent range, but it's not terrible close range either. And this is the gun that I like to keep out while I'm running around. You don't want to have something that you have to line up or something that's like super close range when you're just roaming around getting to that next circle. And so I think that this one is the most important one to have in your loadout. Secondly, you're going to want a close range weapon. So the first we have rifle, second we have a close range weapon. I prefer the auto shotgun. Now I know it's not everybody's favorite. Apparently, like, it reloads weird and the rate of fire is weird, but the drum shotgun is my second favorite, but it's kind of almost too fast, and so it's a little bit harder for me to aim my next shot. And then the pump one, you only get 2 shots, and I'm not the best player in the world, and so it with 2 shots to reload might be a little bit too much for me, but if you're better than me, then the pump shotgun is probably the best option. I prefer shotguns over the SMGs. I feel like SMGs are a lot more just spray and pray. It's harder to be deliberate because you have to pull down on your mouse when you shoot them because the rate, like the knockback is so high on the SMGs. And so I would prefer, for my close range weapon, for it to be a shotgun over an SMG. Now, if you can control it, they do have a bit more range. Of course, they have a really high rate of fire, but I feel like in a close range match, I am a lot more deadly with the shotguns for sure. And so I only pick up SMGs if they're at least 2 rarity levels above my preferred shotgun of choice. Third, you're going to want a long range weapon. Now, I prefer the Hunter bolt action rifle. I feel like it has 3 shots. They do pretty high damage, of course, every single time you shoot. Okay, now I can't stress this enough, that long range is busted in no build. So what you're going to want to do is to make sure that you are pretty good with the sniper and you get a sniper. There is a lot less cover with no build. Obviously, you can't build your fort as soon as you get shot at. Now, in the current meta, I like the heavy sniper rifle. It's pretty good. You only get 1 shot with that, but it does a ton of damage. And so if you can land your shots, it is probably better than the bolt action. Also, the bows have been around a little bit this season, and I like the bows, but they're more utility heavy, so they're not necessarily the best in every single situation. You're not going to kill somebody super easily with a bow every time. But you can still get some pretty good shots, especially long range with the bow, so it's something to think about. Fourth, I like to have a medkit. Now, I know that 10 seconds is a really freaking long time, especially in a game of Fortnite where it can get intense. In no build mode, health becomes a lot more valuable, and I know that's like a silly thing to say, but as a resource, health is harder to get because you have a recharging shield. a 50 health shield recharges. However, your health does not recharge, and so health as a resource is a lot more rare, and so it makes it a lot more powerful. The only time I would think about getting rid of a medkit is in the late game, when I know for a fact that there is no way on God's green earth that I'm ever going to have 10 seconds to heal. In that case, I would pick small shields over the medkit. So if you're trying to drop something out of the build, I would consider dropping your medkits closer to the end game. And then finally, for my 5th slot, I like to have my shields. Now, I would prioritize the big shields personally. You can carry up to 3 of them, so that's 150 shield just in your pocket no matter what. If you have your shield fully charged, you have 150 health worth of shield plus your 100 health, which is like 250 health. That's insane. You're not gonna die by just a random sniper shot. That is always a really good security to have in your mind. But overall, shields might be something that I would replace if I found something really legendary or amazing, just because you do have that recharging shield now. We've got our medium range, we got our short range, we got our long range, we got our health, and we got our shields. Where is our utility going to go? Well, let's talk about that, because I feel like utility items are very game dependent. Is it late game? Then maybe consider getting rid of your sniper. You're not going to necessarily need it when everybody's so close together. Are you super potted up? Drop the shields maybe, if you find something that you might want. Did you find a legendary like scoped rifle? Something that is like really good for your rifle? Then maybe that could be the long range that you need in that round, and you can get rid of your sniper rifle slot. I would say always just replace the weakest part of your build, and that's going to be dependent on the game and the game state. The only thing I would never replace are my rifles, but everything else is probably up for fair game. Now, my favorite utility type items are grenades. If you have a lot of tanks, then maybe proximity mines would be good, something you can throw and then blow them up. Clingers, if they're in the game, I love the clingers. They're so broken. The purple yeet grenades are a really good utility item to get out of very sticky situations. But overall, I think grenades are the way to go, especially because cover is so valuable now. You can't just build cover. Having grenades to destroy cover, it makes it so much more important. So I would definitely suggest getting some grenades and replacing the weakest part of your build to grab those. Now, unless you're better than me, some stuff to stay away from are pistols in general. Thermal rifles, I think that I can see pretty well. I don't necessarily need a thermal rifle to tell me where to shoot, and that also really kind of clouds your vision. I'm not a fan of the thermal rifles. And I think also because I'm such a fan of the Ranger rifles, that steers me away from those burst snipers because they share ammo. Speaking of which, if you notice my build, I don't ever share ammo in between stuff. So like for a close range weapon, I would never have a revolver because I want to save that rifle ammo for my rifle. So that's just something to think about when you're structuring your build in a Fortnite game. Alright, so now that your build is good, let's talk about some basic positioning strategies. Okay, so tip number 2 is to play the circle. And what I mean by that is not drop in a specific area or try and get to the circle before everybody gets there. Your circle can be your best friend, but it could also be your biggest enemy, and the key is pacing. So you want to kind of ride that backside of the circle, and you want to use it to force your enemies to move in a position where you want them to. Here you are. This is the little circle, right? And here's the big circle, okay? And here is us. We are right... Oh, shoot, let me make my brush size bigger. We are right here. Now, as the circle comes in, we know that there's nobody coming from behind us because they would have already been here. But what we can do is watch the players that are running this way to the circle because they have to move. We're safe, but they are not safe. And so if they want to get inside the big circle, or the little circle, then this angle right here is ideal. We don't want to be like over here or something, because look at all this space in between us that people can get in. So the circle is more powerful, and that makes you want to use it to your advantage, positionally, like that. My biggest tip is to respect it, don't die from it, but you want to kind of ride that outside just right. Okay, now it's time for tip number 3, final tip, here we go. The high ground. Now, just like Obi-Wan, you definitely want the high ground in this game, specifically in no build mode, because it is so much more valuable. Not being able to build your massive fort whenever somebody starts shooting at you is a huge deal. You can't build your own tilted tower. So control of the high ground is extremely important, and I will show you why. It makes snipers more powerful than they already are. And we talked about that earlier, how powerful snipers are because there's less cover. And when you have an angle from above, you can really get them. You can really get them good. Now, also too, when you're up high, you can't be built up to. And it's harder to shoot up. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, what do you mean it's harder to shoot up? Well, I have a diagram for you. Boom, here we are. This right here is you. You're on the high ground. And this is your enemy. He's on the low ground. Now right here, you can see him for sure. And so if you start getting shot at, you can run away a little bit. Oh, but when you run away, look. Oh no, he can't see you anymore. You're in cover. You're all good. You don't have to worry about it. However, uh-oh, he gets started to shoot at. He runs back this way. Oh, but you can still see him from the high ground. The high ground means that you get to pick the fights. You get to pick the battles. And when it's on your terms, that makes it a lot easier to get those victory royales, my friends. I was just filming this video, and then I was like, you know what? 3 tips isn't enough. We'll just throw in a bonus 4th. Boom! Bonus 4th tip. Here we go. And that tip is to know when to third party your opponent. Because if you start to third party, what I mean by third party is you see a firefight happening between 2 people, and neither of them see you, then what do? Do you engage and try and kill them both? What do you do? Now, it can easily become a 2v1, but you don't necessarily want to just not engage at all. You have to wait for the perfect time to strike. Or sometimes it is best to just don't strike and just avoid them entirely. My thought, though, is, in general, you want to side with whoever you think is losing the fight. If you notice that people are shooting at each other and one of them might be winning, definitely don't side with them. Shoot at the one you think is winning the fight, because that other person is already lower. If you know that they are lower, they will be easier to kill once you kill the other person. And so you got to be smart about your 2v1s. Anyways, I hope that this video has helped you to become a better Fortnite no-build player. These are the strategies that have just helped me in the past, and you can apply them to a lot of different Battle Royale games in general. So I hope that you gained some value out of this video. If you did, please drop that subscribe, drop that like button. And if you want to see me play some Fortnite IRL in real life, then just follow me over at Decapibera on Twitch. I'd love to see you in chat, and let me know you came from this video. I will see you all in the next one. Deuces.